Okay, so this is our video lecture for a chapter about accounting for materials. So here we'll discuss the different concepts and principles related to materials and materials inventory, along with what are the common documents related in the transactions about materials, and also the accounting for our materials. For our learning objectives, upon completion of this lesson, you should be able to distinguish between an account for direct and indirect materials, differentiate the forms used in the purchase and issuance of materials, distinguish the periodic and the perpetual cost accumulation systems, distinguishing and understanding the five common control procedures used in assisting the management in keeping inventory costs at the minimum. Yeah, so those are and of course, accounting for special cases in relation to materials. So as for the systems of accounting for materials issued to production and ending materials inventory, we have two primary inventory system, the periodic inventory system and the perpetual inventory system. As in the accounting, using the periodic inventory system, well, purchases, when you purchase direct and indirect materials, it is recorded in the account title purchases. The beginning materials inventory exists, or if the beginning materials inventory exists, it will be recorded in a separate account entitled materials inventory beginning. When you add your purchases to the beginning inventory, that would be equal to the materials available for use. So basic concept lamang is that you have your beginning inventory. Please remember that the beginning inventory for this year is the ending inventory of the previous year. Pag pinagsama lang, it will be the materials available for use. Ang sinasabi lang po ng periodic inventory system kung magamit tayo ng account title na purchases. In the periodic inventory system, since nagre-record lang tayo every time tayo ay bumibili at nilalagay nga natin siya sa purchases account, when we are asked how much will be the ending materials inventory, in order for you to do that, you need to conduct physical count. So, magkakaroon po tayo ng physical counting ng materials on hand at kung magkano po yun, that would be presented as the ending inventory. So, kanina, pinagsama natin yung beginning inventory at saka yung purchases para malaman natin magkano ba yung mga materials na pwedeng gamitin or pwedeng available for use. So after mo naman mag-conduct ng physical count, ibabawas lang natin yung ending na nabilang mo doon sa materials available for use at kung magkano yung matitira, that is deemed to be the cost of materials being issued from the material storage going to the production. On the other hand, if we're following the perpetual inventory system, if you purchase direct or indirect materials, it is directly recorded in the account title materials inventory. So, hindi tayo nagkikip ng purchases account, but instead, any physical movement in our materials ay recorded sa materials inventory account. The beginning materials inventory is the balance of the materials inventory at the end of the previous period. When materials are issued under the perpetual system, pagka nag-issue tayo ng materials papunta sa production, ay kinikredit na agad natin or ibinabawas na agad natin siya sa materials inventory account. No? At when you credit it sa materials inventory account, idine-debit naman siya natin sa working process. That is, kapag ka direct materials ang ating inisyu. Kapag ka naman indirect materials ang inisyu natin, well, it is also credited sa materials inventory since physically nabawasan ang materials natin and it will be debited to the factory overhead control account since indirect materials is considered or indirect material is considered as a component of your factory overhead. So the actual incurrence of indirect materials is debited directly to the factory overhead control account. Under the perpetual inventory system, both the materials issued and the ending materials inventory can be directly ascertained after each transaction. As I have mentioned, any physical movement in the materials is reflected sa materials inventory. Ano? So, in periodic system, kailangan mong mag-conduct ng physical count para malaman ang ending inventory. But under the uh, perpetual system, you can easily identify the ending inventory without the need for physical count. However, there must be a regular physical count in the perpetual system just to ensure that whatever is recorded in the uh, in our materials inventory account ay katulad din kung ano ba or magkano ba talaga ang nag-i-exist na materials inventory. Ang yung materials natin, of course, meron tayong investment kasi doon. So, kailangan din natin magkaroon ng inventory control pagdating sa materials. And when I say materials inventory control, ang ating purpose or ang objective nito is to maintain the cost in our inventory at a minimum level and to ensure that even if we're minimizing our investment in the inventory of materials, for example, there is still a smooth and uninterrupted production schedule. Now, the following concepts should be employed in an inventory control system. The first one, inventory is the result of purchasing raw materials and parts, and it's also the result of applying labor, factory overhead to the raw materials to produce finished goods. So, dito lang sinasabi lang natin na when we talk about inventory, in the case of a manufacturing business, it is not merely an inventory pertaining to materials and the different parts, no, but also it also deals with application of labor and overhead to these raw materials and the production of finished goods, since we have three primary inventory accounts in a manufacturing system. However, the focus here will be the materials since accounting for materials tayo, pero ang sinasabi lang, if we're talking about inventory system, inventory control system, we need to consider the different stages in a manufacturing setup. You started it with materials, when you apply the conversion cost, that's a work in process, and when you finish it, that's finished good. So, kino-consider natin yung different stages in the life of producing a product in in coming up with the inventory control system. A reduction of inventory is the result of normal use and also finding alternative uses for scrapping unneeded items. Um, you need to consider the normal usage. Well, of course, there is a normal and abnormal usage of our inventory, of our materials. Normal usage, that is what is expected, but at sometimes or at some point, nagkakaroon tayo ng abnormal use of our inventory. Uh, there are different reasons, no? And any abnormal use should be reviewed and investigated. No? Kasi kaya nga sinabing abnormal siya eh. Kumbaga hindi siya expected na ganun yung amount ng materials na magagamit mo. Now, meron namang mga abnormal usage that are considered to be tolerable or acceptable, pero may mga abnormal usage na hindi siya tolerable and that must be addressed. No? Also, we need to find alternative for scrapping unneeded items. In the process of production, may pagkakataon na hindi maiiwasan na magkaroon ng scrap or unneeded or scrap materials or scrap items. So you need to check, is there any alternative use for the scrap items or materials? Okay, number 3, optimum inventory investment is based on the quantitative techniques which are designed to minimize the cost of carrying inventory and the cost of ordering inventory. So, we need to optimize or maximize our investment in our inventory. It doesn't mean that you have lots of cash. It doesn't mean that you need to invest them all in your inventory. So, kailangan din po i-optimize natin, no? And in designing, ano ba or magkano ba yung amount ng inventory na i-invest or amount ng investment natin sa ating inventory, we need to consider the cost of carrying it and the cost of ordering it. Okay? Also, in terms of efficient purchasing and management of our investment in materials, nakadepende yan sa kung gaano tayo kagaling or ka-accurate mag-forecast ng sales at kung gaano tayo kahusay mag-schedule ng production. No? Bakit po ganun yung consideration natin? Of course, the thing here is we need to identify first the demand for our product. Kung alam na natin kung magkano yung demand ng ating product, alam na natin ilan yung ipoproduce natin at kailan tayo mag-produce. If we know that already, alam din natin kung ilan at kailan tayo magpa-purchase ng materials. No, so ibig sabihin, when you purchase materials, you have basis for doing so. Ang purchasing of materials, basis niyan ay kung ano ang production. Ang production, anong basis kung ano ang forecasted sales. Okay? That's why forecast help determine kailan tayo order ng materials. And number 6, inventory control is more than maintaining inventory records. No, it's not just record thing. No, control is exercised by people who are making personal judgments, partially on the basis of past experiences within the general framework of organizational objectives and policies to achieve them. Hindi porket ikaw ay ma-maintain na ng inventory records mo, automatic na enough na yon as inventory control. So, syempre yung records natin only suggest kung ano ba ang ginagawa natin. Pero as we go along with the operation, makikita natin there are areas that needs to be provided ng decision. At yung decision will be based on our professional judgments. In terms of methods of inventory, it will vary depending on the cost of materials and their importance. No? Expensive materials or materials that are essential to production might have a more extensive control, and it must be reviewed more frequently than the other materials. But at the end of the day, the major function of any control system is to keep your expenditures within the limits and control the people responsible for the expenditures. Okay? So that would be for this first video, and I'll prepare another one for the next topic about the control measures in relation to materials.